Hi guys, I'm sure your business studies paper 1 preparation is going on well. It's way underway right now. I'm just here to drop an additional resource for you. In today's video, we're going to be focusing on questions and answers from past exam papers, commonly asked questions that can help you in your exam preparation. And towards the end of the video, I'm going to drop a free resource for you that you can use as you prepare for paper 1. So take along for the ride. I'm the General and this is the Masterclass. So today, guys, we're going to be focusing on section B. If you follow the channel, you know that we have already covered section C. I've done an expose on possible essays coming in 2024 for both paper 1 and paper 2. And we have also done how to get a distinction in business studies. Those two videos are available on the channel. I'm going to pin them for you so you can check them in the description. Also, for today's lesson, all the resources that I'm going to be using are going to be in the description. So if they are not clear or you want to have more information, you can simply download them for yourself. Let's get into it. Okay, guys, so we're going to start with legislation. We're going to start with the question that we have here, 2.1. Outline the role of SETAs in supporting the Skills Development Act. And it says here 8 marks. Please note that in this guide, there was 8 marks questions, but in the exam, we will not be having any section B questions that go up to 8 marks. The maximum is 6 marks. So it says outline the role of SETAs in supporting the Skills Development Act. Then it also says in 2.2, explain the purpose of the Skills Development Act. So let's look at the answers there. The role of SETAs, number 1, register various learnerships and learning programs. So the SETAs are the government registered organizations that handle the skills development levy and make sure that it is given to the rightful people that have paid for SDL so that they can develop their employees. So the first role is to register various learnerships and learning programs with the different companies, promote and establish various learnerships, approve the workplace skills plans and annual training reports, develop skills plans that are in line with the aims of the National Skills Development Strategy. So that is the first one. Then the second part of our question was talking about the purpose of Skills Development Act, and it will improve job prospects of previously disadvantaged people. Who are the previously disadvantaged people? All the non-white groups in South Africa. So it's not necessarily black people, but it includes Indians, it includes colors, and any other non-white groups. It also encourages businesses to improve the skills of employees. Okay, the next question, 2.3. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. So the scenario is about Joko Trendy Bags. Joko Trendy Bags designs and manufactures fashionable handbags. They employ 50 workers who are allowed to join a trade union of their choice. The management of JTB resolves work-related disputes through statutory conciliation, mediation, and arbitration. Then the question says, identify the act that applies to JTB. Quote from the scenario above to support your answer. So in a previous video, guys, I have told you that whenever you get a scenario, those are free marks because your answer is in the scenario. So let's read the question again and we go and pick the answer. Identify the act that applies to JTB. Quote from the scenario above to support your answer. Now, I want to draw your attention to this statement here. It says they employ 50 workers who are allowed to join a trade union of their choice. Does that ring a bell? Which act talks about a trade union? The right of employees to join a trade union. That is the Labor Relations Act. So you get your 2 marks for saying Labor Relations Act and for quoting that statement in full from where it says they employ 50 workers who are allowed to join a trade union of their choice. Full stop. You get another mark. Then it continues to say 2.3.2, discuss the negative impact of the act identified in question 2.5.1. What is the negative impact? So remember, the question can either say positive impact, negative impact, or it can simply say the impact. So you have to pay attention to what it says. So I'm going to give you both sides of the answer. Positive impact, it protects the rights of businesses, and it also prevents unfair workplace discrimination. That is on the positive side. On the negative side, it reduces global competitiveness and decreases productivity and profitability. Why are we saying that on the negative side? Because it increases the cost of the business. The trade union movement pushes the cost of the business up because they keep pushing the salaries up through their negotiations. And then businesses are no longer able to compete with businesses from other countries who may not be exposed to the same trade union movements. So that's our answer there. Remember, it can come as positive, negative, or negative, and if it does come as just impact, you are free to put both positive and negative or just one of the two. Okay, 2.4, we've got a similar question. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. Speedy Dry Cleaners. Speedy Dry Cleaners advertised a vacant post for a receptionist in the newspaper. People with disabilities were encouraged to apply for this vacant position. 2.4.1, identify the act that was applied by Speedy Dry Cleaners. Again, the answer is in the scenario. So you go to the scenario, there's something that must jump out at you right there. It says people with disabilities were encouraged to apply for this vacant position. That phrase is leading us to diversity. It is leading us to the different people that are found in society and their right to also be employed in equal measure in the workplace. So we are saying that act is the Employment Equity Act. It says that people with disabilities must not be disadvantaged on account of those disabilities. So your answer there is Employment Equity Act, and your motivation will be people with disabilities were encouraged to apply for this vacant position. Again, please quote in full from capital letter to full stop. Then it continues and says, evaluate the impact of the act identified in question 2.6.1 on businesses. So the positive impact is it promotes affirmative action. What is affirmative action? This is where focus is placed on previously disadvantaged people, in this case, which is black or non-white groups. So they are given preference when it comes to employment. And it promotes equal opportunities among all the people from different diversities. It could be race, it could be gender, culture, religion, disability, age, and so forth. Everybody under this act is given equal opportunities. What is the negative impact? It increases training costs for the business, because now the business cannot simply hire the best people that are already trained or that have the necessary know-how. Now they are forced to also include people that may not have the training that is needed, and then the cost of training those people falls to the business. Now, this also opens up the door for many unsuitable candidates to apply. So now the selection process, the recruitment process becomes tedious, because now you have all this mixed multitude of people that have come to apply, because the doors are open for everybody. But you don't need everybody. You just need a skilled person. So now you're going to have to sift through all these CVs to find your candidate. The next one, 2.5, is talking about the Basic Conditions of Employment Act. So it says identify the provisions of the BCEA that Kajav Supermarket complied with in each statement below. Now, I've told you before, guys, in the video on how to get a distinction in business studies, I told you whenever you get this question that says identify, this is low-hanging fruit. You have to collect those marks. Why? The answer is in the scenario. Number one, employees are required to give due notice before they can end their employment contracts. Which provision are we talking about? Before they can end their employment contracts. End their employment contracts. Termination of employment. Kajav Supermarket does not force its employees to work more than 3 hours extra per day. Extra per day. That's overtime. Employees are advised to produce a medical certificate if they are absent from work for more than 2 consecutive days. Why would they need a medical certificate? Because they were sick and they probably went to the doctor. So that is sick leave. Kajav Supermarket does not allow employees who are younger than 18 to perform dangerous duties. So here we are talking forced and child labor. That is the provision we are addressing there. Then we go to the next one, which says explain the purpose of the Basic Conditions of Employment Act. Now, look at the answers we have here. Purpose outlines conditions of employment. So the minimum conditions of employment are given through the BCEA. That is the purpose why it exists. Then it also advances economic development, because by setting the ground rules for what happens in the workplace, it makes businesses to become more efficient and therefore more productive. Then the provisions that we were discussing are given here. We've got hours of work, where we are saying that employees are not allowed to work more than 45 hours per week. Overtime, we are saying employees are not allowed to work more than 10 hours overtime per week, and each overtime hour is supposed to be paid at 1.5 of the rate of the normal hours. Then meal breaks and rest periods, we are saying an employee is entitled to 60 minutes break after every 5 hours of work. The termination of employment was what we had in the question, that an employee must give 1 week's notice before they can end their contract if they've worked for 6 months or less. Child and forced labor, we addressed it, that they cannot employ children younger than 16, and where they have employed children over 16 but younger than 18, they cannot give them duties that are for an adult. Then public holidays are paid at double the rate of the normal time. On to the next question. 2.7. Identify the pillar of the broad-based Black Economic Empowerment Act that Mpo Auditors has complied with in each statement below. Again, it's a statement, guys. Marks are there for the taking. 2.7.1. Mpo Auditors uses Temba shuttle services to transport their employees. Now, you would remember in a previous video, I told you that when it comes to triple BEE, we've got 5 pillars there, and we can abbreviate them with the phrase Moses. Moses from the Bible. MOSES. What is M? M is for management control. O is for ownership. S is for social responsibility. E is for enterprise and supply development, and the other S is for skills development. So let's look from this and check what are the answers. Mpo Auditors uses Temba shuttle services. Temba, that's a black-owned business. Temba shuttle services to transport their employees. So they are patronizing a black business, a small to medium enterprise, to give them a contract to transport their employees as a way of supporting them. That is enterprise and supplier development. They have donated laptops to schools in rural areas. That is social responsibility. That one is straightforward. Mpo Auditors has promoted 2 black females as heads of various departments. So they have made them to become managers. So here we are dealing with the pillar of management control. Let's look at the next question so we can see more pillars. 2.8. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. Meat Market Limited. Meat Market Limited specializes in supplying fresh meat to customers. The company gave some of its shares to their previously disadvantaged employees. They were also offered learnership programs. So whenever you're given a scenario, guys, it's packed with answers. You can see from what I read, there are answers there. Then let's go to what it says. Name the act that Meat Market Limited is complying with in the scenario above. That's triple BEE. Because in that scenario, you already identified 2 pillars there. Identify, that's the next question. Identify 2 pillars of the act identified above and motivate. What are those pillars? The company gave some of its shares. When somebody is given shares, they become an owner. So that's ownership to their previously disadvantaged employees. They were also offered learnership programs. Learnership programs, skills development. On to the next one, 2.9. Identify the consumer right that is implemented by Cabio Limited in each statement below. 2.9.1. The salesperson allows customers to shop around for the best price. Does that ring a bell? The salesperson allows customers to shop around for the best price. That is the right to choose. So each consumer has the right to choose. Management does not share personal information of their employees with clients. That is the right to privacy and confidentiality. Customers are charged the same price for the same goods or services in different areas. So this is the one that talks about businesses must not do price discrimination. They must not charge different prices for the same goods in different areas. So we call that the right to equality in the consumer market. Then consumers are given a written warranty for durable products. This is the right to fair value. So let me just show you all the rights in one go. We've got the right to choose, the right to fair and honest dealings, the right to information about products, the right to fair responsible marketing, the right to accountability from suppliers, the right to fair, just, reasonable terms and conditions, the right to equality in the consumer marketplace, as well as the one that was not mentioned here, which is the right to privacy. 2.10. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. Mohammed Financial Services opened a money market department which grants loans to their customers. The management of MFS always conducts a financial affordability assessment of each client who applies for a loan. 2.10.1 Identify the acts that MFS is complying with and motivate by quoting from the scenario above. Now, again, you have to pay attention to the scenario. What did Mohammed Financial Services do? They opened a money market department which grants loans to their customers. There's only one act which deals with loans, and that is the National Credit Act. That's your answer. And you quote that full statement. Mohammed Financial Services opened a money market department which grants loans to their customers. You quote it from capital letter to full stop as your motivation. That gives you 3 marks. Explain to Mohammed other ways in which businesses can comply with the act identified above. Why are they saying other ways? Because one of the statements there, the second statement says the management of MFS always conducts a financial affordability assessment of each client who applies for a loan. So that is one of those requirements. They are saying what else is needed. So when they use the word other, you should not copy what has already been used or what you have applied previously. So here are the answers. I have put all these answers for you, but don't take everything. We are going to the exam, guys. Don't take everything. I have picked the ones I thought may be easy for you. You can let me know in the comments if I was right. Conduct a credit check with the registered credit bureau and or consult the National Credit Register. That's number 1. You will get 2 marks for that. The second one, register the business with the National Credit Regulator. I think that's simple. You'll get 2 marks. I've also highlighted this one, submit an annual compliance report to the National Credit Regulator. I've also highlighted offer applicants pre-agreement statements and also disclose all costs of loans and no hidden costs should be charged or added. Okay, we move on to strategies now. We've covered almost all of the acts and I hope you've learned a lot from that. Let's cover the strategies now. 3.1, identify the type of business strategy. Please, you have to make sure that you analyze the question. It did not say identify the business strategy. That's a different question. It said identify the type of business strategy illustrated in each of the statements below. Now, on the side there, I've written the word DD. Now, that is an abbreviation for the 4 strategies, 4 types of strategies that we have. The first D is for diversification strategies, then I is for integration strategies, D is for defensive strategies, and then I is for intensive strategies. So you have 2 Ds and you have 2 Is. All right? With that in mind, let's look at 3.1.1. Alex Clothing Manufacturers took over Class Clothing Retailers for efficiency and profitability. So they took over another business. Which strategy involves taking over another business? To take over, to combine, that is to integrate. So that is an integration strategy. Moyeni supermarkets in Potchefstroom reduced their prices, the prices of their products to increase sales. This is a growth strategy. They want to increase sales, they want to grow. So wherever you have a growth strategy, there are intensive strategies. Exclusive Books expanded their business by selling stationery to attract new customers. They are already selling something else. They are called Exclusive Books. They've added another aspect, which is stationery. They have added it so they can attract new customers. So we call that diversification. So that's a diversification strategy. So you get that. So here you did not have to go into which diversification strategy or which integration strategy or which intensive strategy. You just needed to give the type. Look at the next questions. They will ask us to give the different types. So you have the different strategies themselves. So you have to check what the question is saying. Then the next one is asking us explain steps in developing a strategy. So I've prepared something for you here. Let's look at the answers. 5 steps in evaluating strategies. You can see the ones I've ticked there in red. Number 1, examine the underlying basis of a business strategy. Number 2, look forward and backwards into the implementation process. Is it coming back now? Does that ring a bell? Number 3, take corrective action so that deviations may be corrected. Number 4, set specific dates for control and follow up. Number 5, decide on the desired outcome. So in your notes, you may have 6-7 points there, but here I am selecting just the easy ones that you can take to the examination. All right, then let's look at what does the next question say. It says distinguish between product development and market development. Now, there is a key here. These two are related. Product development, market development. So let me give you a key. In product development, what are we developing? We are developing a new product. Hence, we call it product development. So the product is new. The market is already existing. They cannot be both new. They cannot be both existing. So if it says product development, it means the product is the one that is new. So automatically, the market is existing. If they say market development, it means the market is the one that is new. We are cultivating a new market for an existing product. I will show you this in the next slide. But already once you have that understanding, you are onto something. Describe 3 types of diversification strategies. So remember I told you earlier the question was asking for a type of strategy and the answer there was diversification. Now they are saying 3 types of diversification strategy and we have 3 of them. We've got concentric strategy, we've got conglomerate strategy, and we've got horizontal strategy. I'm going to show you in detail in the next slide as well. Explain the advantages of intensive strategies in addressing business challenges. So let's go to this slide, which is going to show us all these things in one go. So in this slide, we have a summary of all the strategies. We've got integration strategies, forward vertical, backward vertical, horizontal. So I'm not going to explain them right now. If you want a deeper explanation of this, you can watch our video on business studies paper 1 revision strategy, which is on this channel. Then we also have your diversification strategies. We have 3 of them, like I mentioned: concentric diversification, horizontal diversification, conglomerate diversification, and the headings and the explanations are given there clearly. Now, defensive strategies, we also have 3. What are those? We've got divestiture, we've got retrenchment, and we've got liquidation. Then intensive strategies, we've got market penetration. We also have the market development and product development, which I spoke about. Then another key, guys, there is another area we will be asked, which is the advantages. However, the advantages, they only ask for 2 of them, which is advantages of intensive strategies as well as advantages of diversification strategies. So they are here at the bottom. Advantages of intensive strategies: it increases sales, income, and profitability. Improved service delivery may improve the business image in the process. Gain loyal customers through effective promotion campaigns. That's for intensive strategies. Or if not, they will ask for advantages of diversification strategies, which will be increased sales and business growth, improves the business brand and image, reduces the risk of relying only on one product. On to the next one, 3.7. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. Martha and Jane Furniture specializes in selling office furniture. The profitability of the business has decreased due to high inflation rates and low income levels of customers. MJF had to pay a hefty, which means heavy fine, because they did not renew their trading license in time. 3.7.1 Quote 3 challenges from MJF from the scenario above. After you quote the 3 challenges, you identify the pestle element that links to each challenge as quoted, and then recommend one way in which MJF can deal with each challenge as identified. So let's look at the challenges themselves. There are 3 challenges in there. Number 1, the profitability of the business has decreased due to what? Number 1, high inflation rates. That's challenge number 1. High inflation rates. What pestle element is that? Remember, pestle is an abbreviation in its own. So P is political, E is economic, S is social, T is technological, L is legal, and E is environmental. So which one talks about high inflation rates? Is the economic. Then we go to the second one. Low income. It says high inflation rates and low income levels of customers. Low income levels of customers. So this is a problem that our customers are facing. In general, they don't have money to buy our products. That is a social problem. It's linked to poverty. So that is a social problem. So social factor there. The third one, MJF had to pay a hefty or heavy fine because they did not renew their trading license in time. That is the third challenge. And what pestle element is that linked to? They did not renew their trading license in time and they were fined. That's linked to legislation. That is the legal factor. So for each challenge, you have to link it to a pestle element. After linking it, you have to give a recommendation. So let me take you to a page where we have all the recommendations given here. So first of all, we've got the 3 different scanning tools, environmental scanning tools or industrial analysis tools. We've got SWOT. Over here, we've got Potter's 5 and we've got the pestle. So under pestle, you can see here, like I said, if you need this document, it is in the description below. I will pin it down. Now, so I'm not going to go through all the recommendations, but you can see here each challenge already has a prescribed recommendation. We are now looking at the Potter's 5. Identify the element of Potter's 5 forces model that applies to each of the following statements. Number 1, customers prefer fashionable sneakers to more expensive formal shoes. So before I continue, you see on the right, I've already written for you a clue there. When it comes to Potter's 5, you've got 3 P's and 2 T's. Or you can say 3 powers and 2 threats. So once you get into the exam, you need to go and write that down on your question paper somewhere. Just go and write 3 P's and 2 T's. Remember again, when we spoke about DD, you go and write DIDI. We spoke about Moses, you go and write Moses there in your question paper so that you don't have to think about that. You are already downloading that onto the question paper. So in this case, you've got 3 P's and 2 T's. What are the 3 P's? You've got power of suppliers, that's the first P. You've got power of buyers, that's the second P. You've got power of competitors, that's the third P. You also have 2 T's or 2 threats. The first one is threat of substitute products. The second one is threat of new entrants. You are done with the Potter's 5 forces. So let's now check with that in mind. Customers prefer fashionable sneakers to more expensive formal shoes. Which one is that? That is threat of substitute products. We go to the second one. Mpho Stores has a few regular customers who always place large orders. So these customers have power over the business because they place large orders and they are few in number. So the business really has to take care of them. That is the power of buyers because it says a few regular customers. So it's power of buyers. Aisha Limited wants to start an exclusive fashion boutique that requires huge capital investment to cover high establishment costs and expensive stock. That is barriers to entry, threat of new entrants. The next one is Sam's Millers is the only place where bakeries can buy flour. So there is only one supplier here. This is the power of suppliers. Then Jack Hardware attracts more customers than Team Hardware. So Jack Hardware and Team Hardware are competitors. That is the power of competitors. Okay guys, so that means we have covered one side. We have covered business environments because we have covered legislation. We have also covered strategies. Business sectors, we're not going to cover that because it can only come with a maximum of 12 marks, and I'm sure you guys have already covered it. So now we're going to the other side, which is business roles. We're going to look at HR, which is your favorite, and we're also going to look at TQM, which most of you are scared of. So stay tuned until the end of this video because we are going to the crucial part now. And mind you, in my other video on essays, I told you that the essay that will be coming in 2024 might just be HR. Let's go into it. Name two components of job analysis. So I'm not going to answer this question right now because of what is coming. 5.3, read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. Khan Private Hospital has advertised a vacancy for a nurse. The advertisement includes the following aspects regarding the position. Applicants must have a diploma in nursing as a minimum requirement, responsible for observing patients and giving medication. 2 years experience in nursing will be an advantage. Compiling daily reports on the progress of the patients. The advertisement indicates that only shortlisted candidates will be contacted for an interview. Then it says, quote 2 examples of job description and 2 examples of job specification in the scenario above. Now, why I didn't answer the first question is because they played a trick and I want you to figure it out. They said, name 2 components of job analysis. Do you want to guess what those components are? They are given in the second question. It's job description and job specification. So if you go to the exam and they say job analysis, just know they are talking about job description and job specification. So what is job description and what is job specification? One clue. Job description describes the job. It talks about the duties and responsibilities of the job. Whoever comes into the job is going to have to do those duties. Then job specification doesn't talk about the job. It talks about the candidate who will fill the post. That the candidate who is going to have to fill these duties is going to have the minimum requirements as follows. So they're talking about the characteristics, the qualities that that person must possess. So with that in mind, let's go into the scenario and check which 2 are job description, which 2 are specification. Number 1. Applicants must have a diploma in nursing as a minimum requirement. They must have a diploma. Is that talking about the job or is that talking about the characteristic of the candidate? That's talking about the candidate. So that falls under job specification. You write your answer down under job specification. Let's use the same reasoning for number 2. Responsible for observing patients and giving medication. What is this one now? This one is a duty, it's a responsibility of the job. Whoever comes into the job is going to have to do this thing. So this is job description. The third one, 2 years experience in nursing will be an advantage. This is something that the person must possess. 2 years experience. That's a characteristic, job specification. Number 4, compiling daily reports on the progress of the patients. This is a duty. So this is job description. Very simple. Then the next question there says explain the differences between job description and job specification, and that's what we have just done. Okay, let's move on to selection now. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. Shakil Cattle Farm advertised a vacancy in a newspaper. Many applicants submitted their application forms. SCF conducted preliminary interviews to select suitable candidates and compiled a short list of 5 candidates. A written offer was made to the best candidate. Number 1, quote the selection procedure that SCF applied in the scenario above. So that's for 3 marks. So there are 3 things there that you can quote which are part of the selection procedure. Number 1, SCF conducted preliminary interviews to select suitable candidates. That's 1. 2, and compiled a short list of 5 candidates. Shortlisting is 2. A written offer was made to the best candidate. That is 3. Advise the management of SCF on the other steps of the selection procedure that they may consider. So I will show you that in the next slide. Then we have the next one, describe the purpose of an interview. Okay, we'll see it in the next slide. Let's look at the scenario before we go there. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. LZ shortlisted 5 suitable candidates and invited them for interviews. Candidates were allocated the same amount of time and their responses were recorded. All candidates showed confidence and asked clarity-seeking questions. Number 5. Quote from the scenario above the role of the interviewer and the interviewee during the interview. So let's quickly define something here. Who is the interviewer, guys? Who is the interviewee? In this case, we were given a clue because they said interviewee/candidate. So always remember, interviewee with double E at the end is the candidate. Interviewer with ER is the one representing the business. So let's go back into the scenario and see what they did. Candidates were allocated the same amount of time. Who does that? That's the interviewer. 1. 2. And their responses were recorded. Who does that? Interviewer. 2. All candidates showed confidence. Who are the candidates? Interviewee. 1. And asked clarity-seeking questions. Who's asking clarity-seeking questions? The interviewee. What are clarity-seeking questions? You've gone through the interview, you want to understand more things about the business, and you are given an opportunity to ask questions. Those are the clarity-seeking questions. So that is also the candidate, which puts us at 4 marks. Now let's go to that slide that I spoke about so we can see the summary of all of this. So we've got the selection procedure to the left. I'm not going to go through it. The role of the interviewer, the role of the interviewee, we've spoken about that. Then I'm also going to just touch quickly on the fringe benefits. We've got pension, we've got medical aid, we've got provident fund, funeral benefits, motor allowance, and so on. What are fringe benefits? This is what the employee receives over and above their salary. So this is extras that they receive over and above the salary that they are already receiving. What is the purpose of the interview? The purpose of the interview is to exchange information between the business and the potential candidate. It is also to clarify possible areas that may not be clear from the CV, to access more information from the candidate, and to also see if what the candidate stated on their CV is true when they present themselves in person. 5.11. Elaborate on the meaning of employment contract. An employment contract is an agreement between an employer and an employee which is legally binding. Number 12. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. Tudo recently started working at JCM as a forklift operator. He was requested to read and sign the employment contract, which included his remuneration and details on the termination of the contract. Quote 2 aspects. So there are 2 aspects in there. Quote 2 aspects that JCM included in the employment contract. Number 1, they said his contract, which included his remuneration. That's 1. Number 2, details on the termination of the contract. That is 2. Then they say recommend any other aspects that JCM must include in their employment contract. So I want to give you a tip here. We just did the BCEA when we were looking at legislation. All those provisions of the BCEA, they turn around and become aspects of the contract. So if we spoke about leave as part of the provisions of BCEA, then leave must be an aspect of the contract. If we spoke about working hours as part of BCEA, then by default it must also become an aspect of the employment contract. Overtime, the same thing. So if you remember your provisions of the BCEA, it's not going to be difficult to know the aspects of the contract. However, the aspects of the contract are not the same as legalities, and I'm going to clarify as we go. Recommend, so we've answered that. Read the scenario. Sky Limited. Helen has been working for Sky Limited for the past 30 years. The management terminated her employment contract when she reached the age of 65. So if you look over on the right, I've made a marking there, 3 R's and 2 D's. What are the R's? These are actually the reasons for termination. So I've summarized 5 of the best. The 3 R's. Number 1 is retirement. What is retirement? This is when somebody leaves their employment because they have reached the prescribed age of retirement, which is 65, which is what we have in the scenario there. Resignation is when somebody voluntarily leaves their job, maybe for greener pastures or for reasons best known to themselves. Retrenchment is when workers are let go from their employment for structural reasons. They are not being fired. They have not been dismissed. There is no misconduct. The only reason why they are being let go is the company is probably facing financial troubles and can no longer continue to pay everybody, and they have to find a way to downsize and have to let go some workers. Then the 2 Ds. We've got the first one, which is obvious, death. When somebody has died, the contract automatically expires because they can no longer perform the duties that are listed in that contract. Then the fifth one, the second D, is dismissal. This is when somebody is dismissed. This is what most people call firing. When somebody has been fired, this is because of misconduct. They have breached the code of conduct and therefore they are dismissed from work. So 5.13.1, identify the reason. We have done that. The reason was retirement, and we motivate by quoting that statement. Then the other reasons for the termination of the employment I have also provided. On to another human resource activity, 5.15, elaborate on the meaning of induction, outline the purpose of induction. So what do we mean by induction? So this is the stage where after recruitment, selection is done, the best candidate has been chosen. This candidate must now be introduced to the business, introduced to the management, introduced to their colleagues, introduced to their work environment. They should be taken on a tour of the premises so they know, they become familiar with their environment. They must be introduced to the policies of the organization, safety regulations, all of that. So that is induction. What is the purpose? The purpose is to make sure that the employee sits in and settles into the organization as fast as possible and becomes productive as quickly as possible. It also helps to lower staff turnover, because if people are not properly inducted, then they are likely not to settle in, and the chances of them wanting to leave the organization are very high. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. Tommy has developed an induction program for newly appointed employees. They are usually taken on a tour of the premises and introduced to senior management and colleagues. Quote 2 aspects that Tommy included in his induction program. They are right there. A tour of the premises and introduced to senior management and colleagues. Advise Tommy on 3 other aspects that should be included in an induction program. So I've already mentioned the others. Remember, when they say other, you don't mention the ones that are already in the scenario. So in the scenario, we already have a tour of the premises. We already have introduction to senior management. So we're going to mention any other, and I'll show you more in the slide that is coming. Discuss the benefits of induction. So we'll go to that slide. Let's just take the other questions, then we rest on one. Elaborate on the meaning of placement. What is placement? Placement is now this person has been introduced, then we subject them to some tests to see their strengths and weaknesses and try to match them with the requirements of the job, so we can see where we can place them the best, where they can be optimal. So not everybody will be profitable or productive in every department. We have to see where they will give us the most value possible, and then we are going to position them there. So there's also the placement procedure. So let's see all these details. Like I mentioned, guys, the document is there in the description. If you want, you can download a copy for yourself so you can go into an in-depth analysis. But otherwise, I have done another video, which is Business Studies Paper 1 Revision Strategy, where I went in depth on each of these things. But I just want to show you here, we've got the meaning of placement, meaning of induction, the purpose of induction is given, the aspects of the induction program are given. Then we also have the benefits of the induction program here and the placement procedure steps as well. Then we can as well talk about the salary determination methods, which are coming in the next question. We've got piecemeal determination method, which means here a person or a worker is paid according to the number of items that they've produced, whereas time related, a worker is paid according to the amount of time that they spend at work. 5.20, just like I mentioned, we're going to look at the salary determination methods in action now. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. Gail and Chris are employees of Smart Construction. Gail is remunerated according to the number of hours. You can see I've underlined it there. According to the number of hours spent at work. And Chris according to the number of houses built. I've also underlined that. Gail's employment contract has recently been terminated due to regular absence from work. Identify 2 salary determination methods of remuneration applicable to Gail and Chris, and then you motivate. So I've already shown you. So number 1, which one is number of hours? That is time related. Hours, time, guys. So time related method, 2 marks. Motivation, Gail is remunerated according to the number of hours spent at work. The second one, what is the salary determination method? Piecemeal. What is the motivation? Chris according to the number of houses built. Okay, let's do TQM, the area that most of you have been waiting for. Elaborate on the meaning of quality assurance. Then it also says explain the difference between quality performance and quality management. So I'm just going to take those two together. So I'm going to use this slide here to explain and give you some keywords. So we have all the definitions here. These are the quality concepts. Quality refers to a good or to a goods or service ability to satisfy a specific need. Then when it comes to the rest of them, there are keywords that you can use. Quality control, inspection of the final product. So final is very important there. Inspection of the final product to ensure that it meets the required standards. Quality assurance carried out during and after. So the keywords there are during and after. Once you see that in a question, stop thinking. The answer is quality assurance. Carried out during and after the production process to ensure required standards have been met. Quality performance. What's the keyword there? Departments. Total performance of each what? Department measured against the specific standards. Quality management. The process of managing all activities needed to ensure a business produces goods and services of consistently high standard. What keyword will they use for this one? Tools and techniques. Tools and techniques. Quality management system, a formalized system that documents processes, procedures, and responsibilities for achieving quality. What is the keyword for this one? Framework. Total quality management is an integrated system, keyword integrated system, applied throughout the organization, which helps to provide quality products and services to customers. So we will then be asked, what is the difference between quality control and quality assurance, or they may say quality performance and quality management. In those differences, we will still use the definitions that we have used here as the differences. Alright, let's continue to 6.3. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. Zintle is the owner of Exclusive Clothing Enterprise. She was requested to share ideas on how she maintains the high quality standard of her products. She indicated that her employees are trained on a regular basis. time and resources are also used efficiently. Quote 2 benefits of a good quality management system from the scenario above. You can see both of them are in the last statement there. She indicated that her employees are trained on a regular basis. 1. 2. Time and resources are also used efficiently. So those two are a result of a good quality management system. Then the second question, which is a follow-up, says, explain to Zindli other benefits, meaning that besides the ones that are in the scenario, what are the other benefits of a good quality management system? So let me take you to this slide here, which is going to show us more of that information. Benefits of a good quality management system. So number 1 has already been used. Time and resources are used efficiently. It was in the scenario. Number 2, products and services are constantly improved. What does that mean? That means as we continue to improve our processes and systems, we train our staff, we upgrade our equipment and machinery, at the end of the day, our products and services as a result will also be improved. Number 3, increased market share and profitability. As a consequence of good products and services, our sales are going to increase, and as a result, we're going to have an increased market share. We will start dominating the market, and our profitability will be on the rise. Now, also on this page, you're going to notice we've got quality indicators. What do we mean by quality indicators? Another phrase that will be used in the exam is the ways in which each or any of the business functions can contribute to the success or failure of the business. So on this page they are listed. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you are free to download a copy of this and go through each one of them. 7.2, name the total quality management TQM element applied by Invel Logistics in each statement below. So guys, as you know by now, we've got 5 TQM elements. Let's just recap what TQM elements. Number 1, we've got continuous improvement to processes and systems. Number 2, continuous skills development. Number 3, we've got total client satisfaction. Number 4, we've got monitoring and evaluation of quality processes. Number 5, we've got adequate financing and capacity. So let's go back to the question and see which one is being addressed. Regular market research is conducted to determine the needs of consumers. The focus is on the needs of consumers in order to satisfy them. So this is total client satisfaction. Number 2, sufficient capital and equipment are available to render quality services. Sufficient means adequate. So this is adequate financing and capacity. Number 3, employees are regularly trained to use the latest technology. This is continuous skills development. That's why they said regularly. That is the continuous part, and they are trained. That's the skills development. Then the CEO participates in decision making at all levels of the company. This is management and evaluation of quality processes. Then we go to the next one here, which is a scenario. Stridom Leathers Limited is a large business that specializes in the manufacturing of quality leather bags. They often upgrade their production process to stay ahead of their competitors. Customers are always requested to provide feedback about their products. Identify 2 total quality management elements applied by SLL. Motivate your answer by quoting from the scenario. Now, let's go over these statements again. They often upgrade their production process. They often upgrade their production process. That is improvement to processes and systems. So what is our motivation? They often upgrade their production process. That already gives us 3 marks. The same one, the next one says, customers are always requested to provide feedback about their products. Customers are always requested to provide feedback about their products. The center is also customers here. Total client satisfaction, which can also be called total customer satisfaction. And that's our motivation right there. Then 7.3.2 says evaluate the impact of one TQM element identified above. So a key thing here, guys, is that when they are asking us this in the exam, they may not necessarily ask us about the element itself. They will be asking about the impact, which means the advantages and disadvantages. So on this page that I have here, you have the advantages, at least two for each of the elements. Two advantages, two disadvantages. How will it affect the business? So guys, that's your section B practice. I hope you have enjoyed the lesson. And for this is just section B. If you want to understand more about which essays are coming in section C, watch this video. God bless you. See you next time.